Did you know that it's almost Christmas? Okay, well, it's still quite a bit away, but it sneaks up on you fast. So I thought I would do a little Christmas gnome. He's kind of like a Christmas gnome slash elf slash Santa. I don't know, I kind of mixed them all together. He is just made up. I have the sketch for you if you're my Patreon, so you don't have to draw it out if you don't want to, and you can watch this without any ads and in real time. For those of you that are here on YouTube, welcome. If this is the first time that you've been here, I just love to play and just share what I'm doing each day. Well, not each day, but at least once a week. So I am starting off with my Fabriano watercolor paper. I do have my brush. What brush is that one? This is my number 10 round, and it is by Princeton. I couldn't find my number 8, which is smaller. It would have been a little easier to work with. But I started off with just wetting in the area, dropping in that red paint, that bright red number 740 from the Rosa Gallery kit. Dropping in some more light gray here because that's not really white, right? All of those little, I don't know if it's his hair or if it's part of his hat, but they're never white. And I'm dropping in a little bit of red. I couldn't decide if I wanted to make his nose red or if I wanted to make it more, but I went for the red. I just thought it would be cute. He's probably cold. You know, he's been working in the North Pole. It's a busy time of year for them making all their little toys with Santa. I pulled out a little bit of paint in the middle there just to give it a little highlight, and then we're going to go in a little bit darker around the edge. We're going to let that dry for a few seconds. And dropping in just some clean water again, just sporadically around his beard, and then some very light gray, because white is not necessarily white. Blues would be really pretty with this too. And then I'm going to give him some little cheeks, just because that spread a little bit underneath his nose. I figured, again, if he's cold, he's got some little red rosy cheeks. Then we've got a little belt on him here. Grab some black grape, filling in the shoe area. They're kind of like little clogs, maybe? I don't know. They're cute. He's got his hands behind his back. That way he didn't have to do any hands. Makes it much quicker. And then adding a little bit more red in underneath, give it a little bit of a roundish shape with a little bit of a highlight. Dropping in a little bit more red for those cheeks. They faded a little bit. And then we've got to remove some of that paint. Now, because this brush does hold quite a bit of water, you can see I've got quite a glare. I'm doing this in the evening though, so I do have my overhead light on, so it's a little bit shinier. So I'm just going to clean that up. Here we go. We're dry, and I love the way the nose turned out. It just kind of, I let the paints and the water just kind of mix, so it's not over painted in that area. Now we're going to go in with some green. We're going to fill in his little elf suit, and down on the bottom, just be careful in the belt area. I think I'm going to make that gold with a gold pen. And then just adding a little bit of darkness for some shadow in here, maybe some little creases in his little elf outfit. I think I liked it almost better with a light green, but I committed, and now I'm trying just to paint around his beard. So we're now going to go to that nice little cardinal on top. Just really easy. Just make a little circle for the head, give it a little body, put the tail in, and then a straight line, and then get a little tuft on the top. And I'm going to do the gold pen again for the beak on that. So the shoes are dry, so we just want to spice them up a little bit. So I'm going to use my Uniball gold pen just to give it a little shimmer. I don't know, he's got some little shiny clogs, maybe some little dots. And I'm playing around a little gold belt. So we'll fill that all in. He's looking more festive now, don't you think? You can't see his eyes. I figured I will just leave the eyes out. You know, most of the gnomes, they have that hat that just goes down over the eyes. And then let's do the little beak. Now that beak turned out a little bit larger than I wanted it to, but that's all right. And then I just figured I'm going with the gold pen. I have been loving this thing lately. I've just been so into it, just sparkling up everything. I don't know. I almost want to put some gold in his eyes, but you can't see the eyes. So some darker red, again, just to give it a little bit of a texture to shadow in there, a little bit more on the nose. Darkening the belt up a little bit more. And then I'm looking at it, kind of decide what am I going to do now. Let's go back with a gold pen. Just going to freshen things up a little. I don't know who has a gold beard, but he does. I've just been like crazy with this lately. I just kind of want to put it everywhere. And then a little black eye for the cardinal. I know he does have some black on his chest area there, so we'll add a little black underneath. There, he's got attitude. He's very small, so it's really, he's just a little tiny thing sitting on the hat. And he's kind of cute as is, but I thought I would add just a little background, maybe some flowers, some grass. Then I got to thinking, well, if he's in the North Pole, it probably should have been snow, but he's a gnome, so maybe he's being sneaky. He's kind of hanging out here, and then he's heading out to the North Pole in the evenings. They can travel really far because they're magical. No magic wands, just magical. Do you know that my dad has gnomes? He collects gnomes, and he has a little forest. And my mom buys him all these little gnomes, and they hide them everywhere. And all the kids in the neighborhood love to come over and see if they can spot new ones. And he just absolutely loves it. He thinks it's so much fun. So some flowers in here, yellow flowers, maybe some mushrooms. I don't know. I'm just kind of going wild at this point. Like, what else can I throw in here? Because it probably should have been snow. But, that's how it goes when you are creating. This gives you a good idea. Maybe I might do another one with some snow. Hint, hint. So maybe some berries in here. A little bit more pen work. A little bit more gold. Yeah, that's what it needs. Now you'll see I slide right through some of that wet paint because it just drags it right through it and it kind of looks cool. And then I've got my little mushrooms down here, getting them a little gold cap. And some little sprigs of some gold. Silver would be cool too. And some little squiggles. Oh, no, they're supposed to be magical. It's supposed to be fun. Maybe some little leaves. Just playing around. This is where playtime is very important. If you are not playing, you are not growing, you are not learning. It's just an important thing in art or just in being creative, period, because it's very therapeutic. So yeah, look how cute that is. It's kind of springy now, giving it little dots in the middle of the flowers. So it's like, where do you stop? I don't know. He kind of looks sort of out of place now, I think, with the cardinal, I guess, could be any time of year, but having some spring flowers, I don't know. He's just getting ready. He's preparing. A little black around the belt. It just didn't pop quite as much as I wanted it to. And then I think he just needs a little bit more detail in his beard and maybe a couple little highlights with some white on the nose for a little shine. There we go. And then maybe little white dots on those itty bitty tiny mushrooms. I mean, look how tiny they are at the top of my brush. And then just a few little marks here with that very light washed out gray, just to give him a little texture in the beard. I think he just needed a touch there. And then maybe a little shadow kind of under his nose a little bit. Yeah, I could try not to overdo it too much, but you know how that goes. Sometimes it gets away from you. And then I put just a tiny bit more in the bottom of the hat as well. And there we have it. I mean, this would make a really cute card too. So I hope you had fun painting this little guy, and please share him with me on any of my social medias if you decide to create him. I would love to be tagged on it so I can just look at him and see how cute yours is. All right, make sure you hit like and subscribe. A big shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Your $5 a month, $12 a month have been buying me coffees and new paints, which I'm going to share later. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.